Hello, this is Watch All About with another watch review, and in this review we're looking at the Dan Henry 1963. So Dan Henry was is a chap who has created the website Timeline.watch, which is mainly for vintage watches. So what he has done is he has released a number of vintage styled themed timepieces. So I think there's about 4 in the collection at the moment, but obviously we're looking at just one. And this was the one that called out to me personally, the 1963. Now, the design is pretty spectacular. I personally think it looks absolutely fantastic. Obviously, it's a homage, should I say, to her a Hoya Carrera Ref 2447. So, although the design is pretty spectacular, it's not a design that Dan Henry has really come up himself, unfortunately for him. But there's not many homages to this model out there, if any. So, in that respect, he's done a great job in making this watch style available to the masses. I mean, making it available to the masses as well, because the price point is pretty spectacular at $230, which equates to about £180. Now that is, it's not a whole lot of money, under £200, and as you will come to see, you'll get quite a lot of watch for the money. Really, really nicely designed watch as well. So let's go through the specs together to discuss this in greater detail. So size-wise, let me just pop it on my 7¼ inch wrist. So we have a diameter of 42.5mm, a height of 14mm, and that's to the tip of the domed crystal, and we have a lug-to-lug length of 47.3mm. So it is, on the fairly larger side of things. It does mean that it provides a lot of wrist presence. It looks quite impressive on the wrist as well. Quite imposing, especially when you think about this light-coloured bezel. It really creates quite an atmosphere around your wrist. Thanks to obviously to the Hoya design, but it's still an impressive-looking timepiece. The weight that goes along with the dimensions is 82 grams. So it feels pretty good on the wrist as well. It feels good quality, and when you're wearing it and when you're just feeling it, holding it, etc. It does feel like a really good piece of engineering, and just a decent quality timepiece. So the movement used is Miyota 6S20, which is, if I start it, a Mecha Quartz. I'll just get rid of that bit of fluff. We'll talk about that shortly in a bit more detail. We have 22mm wide lugs as well. And the strap is 22mm for its entirety, as you can see there. So that's quite a nice sporty kind of feel to it, the way that it doesn't taper down at all. So a nice big thick band on your wrist when you're wearing it. You have 1 year's warranty, and it has a water resistance of 50 meters or 5 atmospheres as well. One interesting point is that it's not a sapphire crystal, but don't worry, it's not completely mineral crystal either. It's a sapphire coated mineral crystal, which I've seen a few times before. Many people think that it's a good idea because you get best of both worlds. You get the scratch resistance of a sapphire crystal and the shatterproof nature of a mineral crystal as well. Many people would probably just say, give me a sapphire crystal, that's all I want. But for the cost of this watch, you can't really complain. At least we have got a sapphire coating to it, so it should be reasonably scratch resistant, so that's good. So in addition to just the watch, have a look at the full written review with pictures, but you get a really nice leather watch roll with 3 slots and an extra black NATO strap. So, you're getting more than the watch. You're getting a really handy watch roll as well, which you can use for travelling and storing other watches too. So let's Oh, excuse me. Let's talk about it in close detail. So, starting on the dial. So, to me, I mean, the main things about it that really stand out to me are the sub dials. Really, as you can see there, and really nice, crisp, silvery white, which sit against this dark backdrop of the dial. But in addition to that, they're just really nicely done as well. So the subdials themselves, we'll have a look in closer detail later on, but the subdials themselves have a concentric circular pattern, but then they have this like stepped up border to them as well. Just the finish of it is, is quite impressive and quite amazing for the price of the watch. In addition to this, we have what's called a sandwich dial. So the hour markers at every hour, apart from these 3 points, they're on a lower level, so that this main black section has a cutout, and then the loom filled hour markers are on a lower level, which creates this like sandwich effect of layers. The 12 is also cut out as well, and they're filled with like an aged vintage style loom, which the strength is average, but of course for a watch this price, that's as good as you're ever going to get. So it's just another thing that's quite impressive for a watch under £200. The cutouts are all pretty accurate as well and nicely done. The printing as well, that's all pretty good. No complaints there, and the hands, very nice shape as well. Slightly unusual with the like the angles on either end, but again we're getting this like vintage Hoya flavour coming through, aren't we? The subdials, if I start the chrono, as you can see, that is our running second hand, so that's always running. Our main second hand is the chronograph running second hand. This is a 1/10 of a second indicator for the chrono, so if I stop it like so, then I can stop it every so often, it will give me the 1/10. And then this is an hour indicator for the chronograph as well. So all in all, as I've mentioned before, thanks to Hoya, a very nicely designed watch, and the dial, it just looks pretty fantastic to me. Moving on to the case then. It's quite an unusual case actually as well for the price, for the cost. You'd expect like a very bog standard barrel shape, but we don't have that. We have nice little cutouts on the underside here with polished rims, nice little polished shoulders as well to the lugs. Again, numerous pieces of detail which you wouldn't necessarily expect on a watch costing this much. Again, and in addition to that, we have this slightly unusual bezel. Usually a bezel has a 60 click or 120 clicks. This one has 12 clicks, which is quite strange to get used to. So it basically clicks on every hour. So all of this is free, and then it clicks in at every hour. Now I personally am not too sure on what you could use it for. I mean, usually if you've got 60 minutes running around the outside, you can use it as a countdown timer, for instance. This, I'm not entirely convinced of the practical reasons behind it. All I know is it looks nice, especially with the stainless steel top to it, because it's quite a statement. But from a practical point of view, I'm not entirely convinced. That's all. The markings on it are very nicely engraved and filled in, though. We'll have a look at that with closer detail, and we have a slightly polished grip to it as well. So the rest of the case, we have, as I mentioned before, a brushed side either side, but then this polished ridge on the underside, which is slightly cut out if we see it from this angle, like so. So that's a nice piece of engineering there that you wouldn't expect. And then our pushers and crown are also nicely done. So these pushers give you a good amount of feedback, nice little click when you're using them. The crown has DH engraved on the end of it, and that's just a push-pull. So if I literally just pull it out, you can change the time. We have no date indicator, so that's fine. Moving on to the case back, so this is a really another thing which you necessarily wouldn't expect on a watch costing this much. We have a really nice 3D printed, it's a Lockheed Blackbird, so that's quite impressively done. As you can see there, we can see the depth of it, and this really nicely machined, well finished, polished against this matte backdrop, and then we have various details surrounding it as well. So moving on to the strap. First things first, we have really nice addition in the quick release pins. As you can see, really quick, just to replace the strap by literally just pulling in the tab there, and then that's it, as simple as that. So it's really easy just to change your straps if you need to. The leather is really nice, Italian leather, as you can see it's printed there. I have Dan Henry printed on the other side, but it's really vintage, as you'd expect with this kind of watch, and from Dan Henry himself. But the leather is just really soft, so soft to the touch. It is susceptible to markings, etc., as you can see here, but I think that's just like part of the charm of the watch and of the quality of the strap. So that is something that you can just get on with and ignore. You can see we've got like little scratches here and there, but then like a really good quality leather jacket that has signs of marks like that, doesn't it? So I think it looks perfectly in place. And then we have these little like, they don't do anything, but little features with thick stitching, which are just like nice little design cues there. Moving on to the the buckle, it's just a standard Tang buckle, but we have the DH logo deeply engraved on the side there, and it's brushed like the majority of the case. So let me just put it back on. So on my 7¼ inch wrist, it fits really nicely. It looks very impressive, but it's also really comfortable, mainly thanks to the thick, comfortable leather strap. So yeah, one that feels great on the wrist. Let's get the macro lens on then, and we'll just briefly look at it in closer detail. Okay, we are on. Start with the dial. Give it a quick wipe. So as I mentioned earlier, these subdials for me really steal the show. So we have the concentric circular pattern on the underside, on the main center, but then we have these like angled surrounds, which are really nicely finished. Almost makes them look like really bright owl eyes almost. And then you can see against the black backdrop, just like the brash contrast really makes them striking, I think is the main word to use here. But as you can see, they're not. It's got like a metal kind of finish to them. So just the level of finish is much higher than my expectations. You can see the little arrow hands are slightly different as well. So that's a very nice little touch there. Moving on to the hands themselves, they have like a brushed metal kind of finish to them. They have this aged vintage loom on them as well. But as you can see, nothing really to complain about. The machining of it is really good. And yeah, really well made. So looking at this sandwich aspect of it, you can see there the loom is on a lower level, and that's the same for all of these for these hour markers, apart from 3, 6 and 9. Printing, that's all pretty good, no complaints there either. Very nice and fine, refined. So yeah, all in all, a very well put together, designed dial. Moving on to the case then, let's have a look at this Bezel, as you can see there, we have our 10 pretty much perfectly engraved out of there and then filled in. Can't fault that whatsoever. Let's have a look over here at the number 8. Same again, really impressive finishing, even under pretty close up macro lens. Then we have this side where we've got this grip, which is like polished, has a polished finish to it. So moving on to the case, then we have this brush side, brush top, but this polished shoulder, which again is a cheeky little addition which you wouldn't expect. And then let me just rotate that. Our crown there, DH logo deeply engraved on it, nicely finished. And our pushers looking pretty sturdy there. If we look at the other side, we can see the edging between this bottom section and the main brushed side. Within this polished section, there's also, as you can see there, a little angle to it as well. So, it's provides a nice variety in the design of the case, but it's also something that just increases your view on the whole watch, really, because these little things are little extras that you wouldn't expect at all. Moving on to the case back, we have the Lockheed Blackbird. As you can see, that's quite deep, nicely done against this matte backdrop. And then surrounding it, we have these details, lightly engraved. Let's have a look at this one. It says Dan Henry there. And then our model number, 1963. Moving on to the strap. So first of all, we have these quick release pins just here. And if we look at the top of the leather, you can just tell that it's a very nice, soft, supple grain just from looking at it. We have these bits on the side. And at the bottom as well. There we go. And on the underside we have Dan Henry, this side. And Italian leather stamped on the other. And finally, just look at the keeper loops. Again, very nice quality leather, matches the strap. And then we have our tang buckle with DH engraved on the end. Okay, so I personally think not only is it a wonderful design, thanks to Hoya, but the quality of watch for the money is outstanding, really. Sub £200, it's really difficult to find a watch that offers this same kind of quality. The only thing I would have liked to have seen is like a full sapphire crystal, maybe a bit more anti-reflective coating on the underside as well, but it is pretty clear. It's got good clarity, the crystal has. Apart from that, the watch itself is fantastic. It's designed so nicely, it looks so nice, it's so well finished as well. In addition to this, you obviously get the watch roll, the leather watch roll, and an extra NATO strap as well. So the whole package as a general is really quite fantastic, and I'd be absolutely more than happy to pay £200 for this watch. So if you like the look of it, if you're after a modern but vintage themed watch with a chronograph as well, then I would really highly recommend this Dan Henry 1963. So that's what it's all about.